Andreas Krieg is a senior lecturer in security studies at King's College London, and he's joining us live from there. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Krieg. I want to talk more about what we've been reporting. Israel's Director of National Security Council saying that the decision to allow in enough fuel to run the water, the sewage systems in Gaza was taken to prevent the spread of disease, that they don't want epidemics that will harm civilians there or their soldiers, that fighting will stop if there's an epidemic and if there's a humanitarian crisis and international outcry, that they won't be able to continue fighting under those conditions. First point about that, what do you make of him saying we have to prevent an epidemic so that we can keep fighting?
Well, I mean, I think this is not really an act of empathy. I think what we've seen from, as you've already mentioned, these statements from the far-right government and cabinet ministers who are basically saying nothing should be given to the population of Gaza because everyone is being kind of collectively being punished for what Hamas is doing. This is more about they know that the clock is ticking. They know that the international community, especially Western allies of Israel, are increasingly nervous about what Israel is doing. Especially the Biden administration, wants to see that this is coming to an end somehow. I can't see this going on beyond Christmas, particularly at the current rate of dying. And obviously, if you have more people dying, and that's most likely going to happen with less humanitarian aid coming in, and obviously the entire infrastructure being destroyed, we'll probably see a lot more death because of humanitarian suffering. And with the growing death toll, the people going to the streets in Western capitals as well, protesting for a ceasefire, demanding a ceasefire, and kind of condemning Israel, will eventually have put so much pressure on political leaders that eventually that war will have to come to an end. So Israel is not operating in a vacuum. And I think making sure that not too many people are dying is a way for Israel and the IDF as well to give themselves a bit of maneuverability and freedom to maneuver in what is an increasingly difficult information environment for them.
But how can you say making sure not too many people are dying when more than 11,500 people have been killed and 4,600 children have been killed? You know, the National Security Council director said that if there's a humanitarian crisis and an international outcry, they won't be able to continue fighting under those conditions. Isn't there already a humanitarian crisis and international outcry? Or are you saying that there is, but it hasn't been enough to stop them, that amount of deaths hasn't been enough to stop them?
This is the million-dollar question that everybody is asking. I mean, for the last 6 weeks or so, I've been absolutely shocked at how little the international community has actually shown empathy to the plight of people and the slaughter that's going on in Gaza, obviously. The humanitarian crisis now must be the worst in the world because it's not just a humanitarian crisis, it's an active war going. People are being targeted by shells, by ordnance, and at the same time deprived of the basic needs. The land they're living on has become uninhabitable. They're trapped in a prison where they can't leave, and now the IDF is talking about moving operations south where people are already trapped that have already fled the northern Gaza, where they're supposed to go. This crisis is absolutely atrocious, but obviously there is a momentum. Israel had a momentum very early on in international support, particularly in the West, where people said, what an atrocious attack by Hamas on the 7th of October. Sympathy was with Israel. That has now changed towards sympathy towards the Palestinian civilian population, and the momentum is growing and growing and growing. Nobody knows where that golden figure is, and as horrible as it sounds, it seems like it takes a while for Western governments, particularly in the UK, the US, and Germany as well, to kind of turn around and say, actually, we need to put our foot down and demand a ceasefire, or at least a humanitarian pause. We moved from no ceasefire, no humanitarian pause, to humanitarian pause. Eventually, we're moving towards a demand for a ceasefire, and I can't see that being too far out because the death toll, the atrocities being committed right now are unprecedented.
Mr. Krieg, let's hope you're right. Thank you very much for your analysis. As always, that's Andreas Krieg joining us live from London.
Thank you.